Autumn 1968, Hanoi. The North Vietnamese war effort is in full swing. Despite widespread devastation and tens of thousands of deaths from US bombing, mass production has been moved out of the towns and cities, often located underground. Traditional production in the countryside still flourishes. More and more volunteers flow south along the Ho Chi Minh Trail through Laos and Cambodia to fight the war in the south. Phu Bung, an officer in the North Vietnamese army.
We had no direct communication with the south. A soldier would take a letter in his knapsack and carry from Hanoi to Saigon on foot. Sometimes this would take more than a year. I received a letter from my wife after 2 years. But because it has been through rivers and rain, I couldn't read it. The words had gone. I could only kiss it. The war was like that. During Mao Tang, the Tet Offensive, we went to Gucci town near Saigon, together with women and children. I will never forget the children who were bombed in the shelter, and the cries of those we couldn't find.
The Tet Offensive had been launched at the end of January 1968, the Lunar New Year, Vietnam's most important holiday. It has become a turning point of the war. Losses on both sides have escalated. 40,000 South Vietnamese dead. 180,000 from the north, and nearly 14,000 Americans. There are now over 500,000 Americans in Vietnam. Nguyen Van Duyn, a translator.
The Viet Cong arrive on foot with a gun, some bullets and a shovel, a little rice, dried food, and a canteen of water. The Americans have water for showers brought in by helicopter. When we saw that, we knew they could never win the war. We knew we would win. We just didn't know when. Our grandfathers and fathers had defeated the French, and they had nothing. The Vietnamese fight well.
The full-scale attack on the US base at Khe Sanh and the Tet Offensive's dramatic assault from tunnels and hiding places, which struck most of the cities of the South, including Saigon and even the US Embassy, create a wave of disillusionment across the United States. Although the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese regulars suffer huge losses during the battles and in the US retaliations that follow, the war is rapidly becoming unsustainable in the minds of more and more Americans. The leader of the Tet Offensive in Hue, Hoang Lang.
They burned houses, they stole, they beat people and killed them.
They tortured women with electricity. They did many, many terrible things. But they didn't all want war in Vietnam. There were American soldiers who resisted and agreed with the anti-war demonstrations in their homeland. They didn't want to stay in Vietnam, and they didn't want to die in Vietnam. They wanted to go home.
Nguyen Chiang Mai has escaped to the forest with her family to evade US bombing.
We were bombed nearly every day. There were so many planes. Our house was underground. When we heard the planes, we went down into the tunnels. School was held in the tunnels. Babies were born there. How could we live inside a tunnel for so long? Once, I saw a young girl leading a captured American pilot. She was very small. The pilot was very tall. She looked proud as they walked. The man kept his head down, but the girl looked proud. We have a poem about it. People would come to beat them, but the army wouldn't allow it. They said, this pilot will be punished by the authorities, not by you.
The punishment is severe. Solitary confinement, starvation diet, forced confessions, torture. Many will not survive captivity. A nurse in a hospital northwest of Hanoi, Huyen Phuong Dong.
In those days, everybody hated the Americans. There were a lot of civilian casualties, so naturally, we were full of anger. But Uncle Ho taught us to make a clear distinction between peace-loving Americans and warmongers. When the Americans started bombing, we moved our patients into the countryside. We did our operations underground in bunkers built during the French War. We had to carry on even in the midst of bombing strikes and had orders not to abandon our patients. They were not.